This is Nightline and I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. The headlines. BN candidates urge to show solidarity and preserve good name of party. And Kelana Jaya LRT line to fully reopen Monday. Good morning. In Sarawak, former State Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Social Development and Urbanisation, Effendi Kali, and two other family members died in a fire at their house in Kampung Gita Kuching on Sunday. The 67-year-old Effendi was also the former director of North Kuching City Hall DBKU. The two others were his daughter, 35-year-old Aniga Pandi, and his daughter-in-law, Nur Hashidah Ajiz, aged 22. All three were found trapped on the upper floor of the house. State Fire and Rescue Department spokesperson said the victims were believed to have died due to smoke inhalation. He said the fire and rescue team received a distress call at 7:03 p.m. and dispatched a team of 17 firemen from Petrajaya and Batulintang fire station to the scene. The fire was extinguished 4 hours later. 4 vehicles were also completely destroyed in the incident, and the bodies of all the victims have been handed over to the police for further action. The cause of the fire and the amount of losses are still under investigation. The LRT Kelana Jaya line will resume full operations starting on Monday, November 14th at 6 a.m. The full restoration of the Kelana Jaya line was achieved 2 days ahead of schedule. And while all is set for the service to resume in about 6 hours from now, the Prime Minister has ordered the Transport Ministry to conduct a comprehensive investigation to identify the cause of the incident through the establishment of a special committee.
Kita akan siasat bukan saja dari segi siasat dari segi punca kerosakan, tapi kita akan siasat secara menyeluruh lah. Kenapa perkara ini berlaku sewaktu kempen sedang berjalan.
He also noted that it was the second time such an incident had occurred while he was the Prime Minister, and he did not want the same thing to recur because it causes inconvenience to public transport users. The resumption of service is to involve a total of 16 stations between Kelana Jaya and Ampang Park. They were closed since November 9th due to automated train control ATC-related issues. The Transport Minister, who inspected the line on Sunday, said the tests conducted on the effectiveness of systems and operational safety on Saturday showed positive results.
Tinjauan menunjukkan sistem-sistem kritikal keselamatan adalah stabil tanpa gangguan. Saya berpuas hati dengan analisa ke atas ujian meluas yang telah pun dijalankan. APAD juga telah mengesahkan kestabilan sistem kawalan train automatik ATC dan mengisytiharkan perkhidmatan LRT laluan Kelana Jaya selamat untuk beroperasi sepenuhnya.
Datuk Sri Wee said technical experts from Rapid Rail and original equipment manufacturer OEM Thales Group would continue with their monitoring to ensure the system could function smoothly. He noted that for affected users, ticket compensation for 7 days will be provided, even though the service suspension was only for 5 days. The Transport Minister also expressed his gratitude to everyone involved in helping to smoothen the journey of affected LRT passengers, including city residents who provided free shuttle services using their own vehicles to transport commuters. Just 5 days away before campaigning in the 15th general election GE15 comes to an end, the Prime Minister made this call to Barisan Nasional candidates nationwide. Display a spirit of solidarity and preserve the good name of the party. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the main focus of the party and its leaders now should be to work for the victory for all BN candidates so that the coalition can win enough seats to form the federal government.
Saya harap semua, tak kira siapa dalam UMNO, tumpuan kita adalah untuk memenangi pilihan raya. Jadi saya harap kita memberi fokus kepada kawasan yang kita bertanding untuk memastikan setiap orang daripada calon BN yang bertanding dapat menyumbangkan kerusi kepada BN untuk membentuk kerajaan. Jadi saya harap kalau perkara lain tu kita ketepikanlah dulu. Yang pentingnya solidariti di dalam UMNO dan juga BN mesti ditonjolkan. Kerana rakyat sedang melihat dan rakyat akan membuat pelbagai spekulasi kalau kita dilihat tidak bersama-sama di dalam menghadapi pilihan raya ini.
The PM was speaking to the media after attending a program with the people in Kampung Batu Papan in Bura, Pahang. In saying that, Datuk Seri Ahmad Sabri stressed that he was speaking in general and was not referring to anyone in particular. Moving on, Senior Defence Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein wants Pakatan Harapan PH Chairman Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim to provide authorities with proof of early voting being conducted by military personnel in Bura, Pahang and that they had been paid RM300 to do so. This follows Datuk Seri Anwar's statement on Saturday that he had proof backing his claims and his intention of handing it over to the Election Commission EC. Home Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin meanwhile said that there has been no police report lodged on Datuk Seri Anwar's allegation that military personnel in Bura have already cast their votes even before early voting day. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob had dismissed the claim as a lie and demanded that Datuk Seri Anwar apologises to the Malaysian Armed Forces. The youth group who will fulfill responsibilities for the first time in this general election should choose the people's representatives wisely. This is because those who are between 18 and 20 still have not been exposed to the current affairs of the country. The matter was emphasised by BN candidate for the Titi Wangsa parliamentary seat, Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani, who was present at the Titi Wangsa Youth Forum at PPR Ampang Hiliran. He, however, was convinced that young voters who are continuing their studies in higher learning institutions understand current issues to a certain extent, especially the politics of the country. Therefore, parents play an important role in providing information to their children.
Pengguna muda ni, terutama saya worry ni 18, 19, 20. Macam boleh-boleh yang ada depan saya ni budak-budak universiti. Dia orang expose. They know. Dia punya kursus tu dan pencaburan dia dengan student yang berpendidikan tinggi ni, dia dah expose themselves. They know what happened in the world. Ya? Jadi yang kita takut ni budak-budak yang baru habis SPM, 18, baru nak masuk college, 18, 19, 20. Jadi dekat situ saya selalu memainkan peranan untuk berjumpa dengan ibu bapa. Untuk ibu bapa ni menerangkan kepada mereka betapa pentingnya kita menilai setiap pemimpin. Kalau dia tak kenal empat-empat ni, mungkin ibu bapa dia boleh bagi reference.
Youths present at the forum meanwhile shared their hope to see a more stable government after GE15.
Kita nak something ada benefit lah untuk mahasiswa-mahasiswi kan. So apa yang saya nakkan adalah kestabilan ekonomi lah. Kalau kestabilan ekonomi ni basically sebab sekarang kalau kita tengok mahasiswa ke mahasiswi bila diorang dah habis belajar susah untuk mendapat peluang pekerjaan kan.
Yang saya harap perubahan paling besar boleh wakil rakyat bawa ialah untuk perubahan di parlimen. Senang cerita, kalau boleh lepas ni bawa suara rakyat bukan bawa suara parti. Ini yang kita sudah lama tunggu.
Also on Sunday, Datuk Sri Johari took time to meet with locals whose parents came from neighbouring countries.
Dia juga terkesan hasil daripada oleh kerana mereka nak masuk Institut Pengajian Tinggi, mereka tak dapat masuk kerana ibu bapa mereka adalah IC merah. Tapi mereka ni lahir di sini dapat IC biru, tapi bila nak masuk kerana dia ada kategori itu. Jadi sebahagian daripada ini mereka dapat pergi ke institusi pengajian tinggi swasta, maka mereka tapi dia rakyat Malaysia. Jadi ini perkara yang saya rasa sangat penting kita melihat benda ni untuk memastikan bahawa tidak ada mana-mana rakyat Malaysia yang tertinggal dari segi sistem pendidikan kita. Kerana kalau rakyat tidak ada pendidikan, agak sukar mana-mana kerajaan untuk membangunkan negara.
In Pulau Pinang, competing for the first time under the Friends of BN ticket for the Nibong Tebal parliamentary seat, the presence of Cikgu Tanan or Datuk Sri R.S. Tanantiran has been well accepted by the voters. In the 14th general election, the opposition won the seat. Datuk Sri Tan Antiran believed one of the factors he's getting a warm welcome is because of the betrayal from the previous elected representative under the Pakatan Harapan, who abandoned the coalition to become an independent candidate. He also noted that there were some local issues which had been neglected, especially for the fishing community in Kampung Chenam, which did not get attention in providing more fishing licenses and to extend the fishing area.
Penerimaan begitu luar biasa kerana bila saya mendampingi mereka meminta merayu undi, mereka semuanya, boleh dikatakan semuanya mengalu-alukan kedatangan saya. Mereka bermesra mendengar seperti ramai kata orang India takkan bagi sambutan, tapi biasanya setiap rumah keluar dan menerima saya. Itu luar biasa. Dan begitu juga pada hari ini di Kampung Baru, China. Mereka juga memberi sambutan yang begitu baik. Dan saya harap ini akan diterjemahkan semasa mereka keluar undi.
Kalau Datuk Seri boleh menang, kalau dia tunaikan janji dia, itu adalah bonus bagi nelayan, semua segi nelayan. Dan kami bukan mengharapkan bonus pun, kami fikir masa depan negara.
Boleh percaya Encik Janendran dan kita boleh sokong lah, dan kita boleh percaya sama dia lah. Dia pun, saya pun ingat dia boleh tolong sama kita lah.
BN candidate for Kulai parliamentary seat Chua Jian Boon postponed his campaign on the weekend to focus on providing assistance to flash flood victims in Kampung Baru Sengkang and Kampung Murni Jaya. He said the coordination of volunteers was also done to help flood victims in the Kulai district.
Jadual kita orang sebagai calon memang pack sangat. Tetapi semasa berlaku kanja, kita terpaksa ni sebagai pemimpin, kita kena membuat pilihan antara terus menarik undi ataupun demi rakyat membantu. Yang untuk saya turun padang lah. Saya tak kisah apa kerana ini sekarang keadaannya agak teruk. Kita kena membantu dan bersama rakyat. So pilihan saya ini senang. Kita clearkan jadual, membantu mereka membersihkan rumah.
He said this while helping volunteers clean residents' homes in Kampung Baru Sengkang a day after the flood struck on Saturday. The flood victims also expressed their gratitude for the community services done by the volunteers.
Ya, saya banggalah dengan keadaan ini, semua boleh bantu saya. Lepas tu dengan keadaan ini saya dengan macam ini ditolong ramai-ramai macam ini ya. Saya sukalah. Banyak terima kasih dengan rekan-rekan yang semua yang tolong saya ini.
Terima kasihlah pada yang ditolonginya.
So hari ini Cua dengan jentera-jentera dia tolong apa je bang hari ini?
Itu belakang sampah. Itu sampah lagi pada belakang. Dan nyok sini lah. Kita pun tak boleh apa. Baik dia datanglah kata orang lah. Kita pun bersyukurlah.
2 temporary evacuation centres were opened in Kampung Sengkang Baru and Kampung Murni Jaya in Kulai to accommodate 212 people from 44 affected families. Dutch court to deliver long-awaited MH17 verdict. News from the Foreign Front when we return. On to the foreign front. Joe Biden said on Sunday he was incredibly pleased with the turnout in the US election after Democrats clinched control of the Senate in a major victory for the president as he looks to his next 2 years in office. The results amount to the best midterm performance for a sitting party in 20 years, with Democrats now having 50 Senate seats and Republicans with 49.
And I know I'm a cockeyed optimist. I understand that from the beginning, but I'm not surprised by the turnout. I'm incredibly pleased by the turnout. And I think it's a reflection of the quality of our candidates.
He was speaking to the media in Cambodia ahead of an East Asia summit. In the meantime, the remaining Georgia seat is going to a runoff in December. And in the event of the Senate being divided equally between the two parties, Vice President Kamala Harris has the casting vote. Biden had previously framed the midterm election as a test to U.S. democracy at a time when hundreds of Republican candidates embrace former President Donald Trump's false claims that the 2020 presidential election was stolen. Still in the US, two vintage warplanes collided mid-air on Saturday during a Dallas air show, scattering debris and exploding into a fireball that sent a plume of dark smoke into the sky. The incident, around 1:20 p.m. local time, involved a World War II-era Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress bomber and a Bell P-63 King Cobra fighter that were flying at the Wings Over Dallas air show at Dallas Executive Airport. The Allied Pilots Association said pilots Terry Barker and Len Root, two of its former members, were among those who died in the collision. Other reports suggest as many as 6 people may have died in the collision, but it was not immediately clear how many people were injured or killed. The Federal Aviation Administration said it will investigate the crash at a 3-day event, and investigators with the National Transportation Safety Board is expected to arrive at the scene of the crash in Dallas on Sunday. In another development, Dutch judges will give their verdict on Thursday in the trial of 4 men accused of downing Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 over Ukraine in 2014 against a backdrop of soaring tensions over Russia's current invasion. If convicted, Russians Igor Girkin, Sergei Dubinsky, Oleg Pulatov and Ukrainian citizen Leonid Karchenko face a life sentence on charges of murder and causing an aircraft to crash. The 4 suspects, however, all remain at large and have refused to attend the 2.5-year trial in the Netherlands, which followed by an international investigation. In the 2014 downing of MH17, all 298 passengers and crew were killed when the Boeing 777 flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur was hit over separatist-held eastern Ukraine by what prosecutors say was a missile supplied by Moscow. Indonesia President Joko Widodo said on Sunday at the launch of a group of 20 G20 pandemic fund that the amount of money raised so far to improve preparedness for future pandemics was not yet sufficient. The fund, launched by G20 chair Indonesia, is targeted at low to middle-income countries to finance efforts like surveillance, research and better access to vaccines, among other measures. So far, the fund has raised about $1.4 billion, including contributions from Indonesia, the United States and the European Union, as well as from donors and philanthropic organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It was created amid anger among many developing countries over their experience during the COVID-19 pandemic, when richer countries often hoarded the bulk of resources such as vaccines to fight the virus. Previously, the World Bank, which will serve as the fund's trustee, and the World Health Organization, which is advising on the facility, estimated in a report that the annual funding gap for pandemic preparedness is $10.5 billion. More to come after this breather. Family trip turns tragic after 4 die in Malacca road accident. Welcome back. 6 people died in 2 separate accidents, one in Malacca, killing 4 people, and the remaining 2 in Pulau Pinang. In both accidents, the journeys were related to birthday events. In Malacca, it was here, at a junction along Jalan Kolan Machap, that the 7:45 a.m. accident occurred. The family of 6 were travelling in a multi-purpose vehicle MPV and were heading to Langkawi to celebrate the birthday of a 71-year-old Felda settler, Ibrahim Daud, when suddenly a 4-wheel drive came out from the junction at the stretch, resulting in the collision. All 4 died on the spot. They were identified as the Felda settler Ibrahim Daud and his 66-year-old wife Latifah Durrahim. Also perished in the crash were Ibrahim's daughter-in-law Shazana Tarin, aged 30, and 5-year-old grandson Yusuf Daniel Muhammad Izwan. One child from the family who sustained serious head injuries is in a critical condition at the Malacca hospital. The MPV, driven by Ibrahim's 30-year-old son, attempted to avoid the crash by braking instantly, but couldn't avoid the collision. The 59-year-old driver of the other vehicle escaped with minor injuries. Police said he's being held to assist in an investigation under the Road Transport Act 1987. In the Pulau Pinang accident, 2 women who just finished celebrating a family member's birthday were killed when their MPV hit a road divider after it skidded along the Tun Dr. Lim Chong Yu Highway in Georgetown. The duo and 5 other family members were travelling back home to the mainland in Seberang Perai in the 3:50 a.m. crash. The 2 women, aged 25 and 54, died at the scene of the incident, while the remaining 5, including 2 children, were taken to Pulau Pinang Hospital for treatment. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act 1987. And lastly, in Kedah, a couple had a close shave with death after the car they were travelling in was crushed by an uprooted tree in Kulim. 51-year-old Ahmad Termizi Hashim and his wife Rafiza Yusof, aged 58, were trapped in the mangled car and were rescued by firemen. State Fire and Rescue Department Senior Enforcement Assistant Muhammad Faiz Helmi said a team from the Serdang Fire Station was dispatched to the site after receiving a distress call at 8:22 a.m. He said the team found a large uprooted tree had fallen across the road and pinned a proton wira that was passing through the site. The fire rescue team then used chainsaws, cutters and hydraulic spreaders to rescue the victims. It was learned that Rafiza broke her arm in the incident and was given emergency medical assistance before being sent to Kulim Hospital for treatment. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at 15 Ferraris became canvases for Mexican artists at the Auto Art World Show this weekend in Guadalajara. The iconic cars were transformed into works of art to be admired by thousands of fans of the automotive world. With that, I'm Muhammed. I'm Hamdan. Thank you for watching and stay safe.